Some of the subjects that make up a Charlotte Mason education don't really fit in a neat academic category, and that includes composer study and picture study, and even what you're going to do with handcrafts. So in this video, I'm going to share the resources that we're using this year for picture study, the resources that I received from the CMEC just to implement composer study, because there's not really much to show you. I mean, there is a guide to read, but mostly it's just, hey, we're listening. And then what we're doing for our handcraft this year. So I'm Joy Cherrick, and welcome to my channel. On this channel, I do videos about Charlotte Mason homeschooling, nature study, and family life. So this year, as I've mentioned before, we switched over to the CMEC. But I actually didn't utilize all of everything that they're doing for picture study, because I have a friend in Momland who has her own products, and I wanted to support her work. So this is the Claude Monet, a Charlotte Mason picture study aid by A Humble Place. And you can find it at ahumbleplace.com. Her stuff usually looks like this if you've seen her around. Her website is probably most known for her kindergarten curriculum. But this is her work here, let's see, where there's an explanation of things on one side. Key topics is what it says. And then we're able to have some additional resources as well. And then there is not only the book, but also the prints. And what I like about the prints, I've ordered lots of prints from different companies, and they tend to be glossy and a little bit more like a photograph. These are on cardstock, and they're more matted. And it would actually make a beautiful print. Let's see, that one goes this way. Inside a picture. So I'm really excited to utilize these. I got Claude Monet, and then she also has this new one that she just released. Hakusai. I'm not really sure how you say that. I'm sure that's not right. But this is an Asian artist. This person here is spinning. It's called A Woman Spinning Silk at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I just thought it would be fun to have a different type of artist. We usually do super Western artists, but it's nice to get an Eastern artist in there. But then I also ordered, she has picture study aids or just picture packs for Lint and for also Advent. And this one it's a devotional, art devotions that goes with it for Advent. She also has one for Lint. I always find myself at the holidays wanting sacred art to be up, and I want to be cultivating in my own eye a sense of beauty. And she has already culled that for me, so I don't have to go do all the research trying to find something beautiful with pictures of the Holy Family. Rebecca has already done that. So I haven't exactly decided how I'm going to utilize these in our homeschool this year, other than, just having them on display. I might make a little space near our nativity, which is actually part of our handcraft for this year. So I will show you that. So this one is the Advent, and then I also have the Lint pack as well. And then I went ahead and printed off for this year these are the composer and artist study guides from the CMEC website. So what I love about the CMEC, I'll just keep saying it, is how well equipped I feel. So this has PNEU articles that they have culled for the composers that we'll be learning about. So the idea, and then they also have just a ton of background. I'm going to read this myself for each composer that we're doing, and then I'll decide which things from here I want to read aloud to my children. But it's pretty thick. There's a lot of content that they have available for both artist study and composer study on the CMEC website. I just love that they have these backgrounds, these articles that, think about this, 100 years ago in the PNEU, these schools, they were studying some of the same composers that we're studying today. What I love about this is we start to get to see the same composer from a perspective of 100 years ago. And that really speaks into our own culture, like how they talk about the composer, how they look at the music, how they are, what words they're using, because they have modern colloquialisms that happen in their time period. But I think so frequently we just are reading and consuming from our modern perspective that we forget that other people had different perspectives or might have appreciated things that we don't appreciate. Obviously, we have things that we appreciate that they didn't, but it helps round us out, right, as people. So I went ahead and got this printed at my local print shop and then bound, because it just made it so much easier to be able to have it accessible. So then, I'm just going to have this next to my bed when I'm getting ready to go through these studies, and then I'll be more prepared when it's time for a lesson with my children. The last thing I'm sharing with you is the handcraft that we're doing this year. And let's see here. What I did was, I'll show you this one. I actually printed off the patterns that we're going to be using for this nativity. It's like a felt nativity set that the kids can all make their own. See, there's the Holy Family, and then there's one of the wise men. And then this is a pattern that I found on Etsy. And then each folder, I had them all printed off at the local print shop, and then bought these little paper folders. And then each folder has whichever child's pattern that they want to do. And then we went over to Hobby Lobby, and I bought all of our supplies. This is just felt. And that's really it. We're going to start this project in October as a group, but anytime someone's like, I'm bored, or what can I do? Like one child did this week. I was like, hey, you could start your nativity project. They all picked out which character they wanted to create. He picked out a shepherd and then the sheep. And then he just started, you got to work through the process. You have to print off the pattern, and they've got to cut it out, and then they've got to put the pattern onto the felt, and just kind of get started with that. And then we're keeping the cutout pieces in a plastic bag with their folder. And this is a project that it should not be done in an afternoon, and cannot. That was kind of my goal, was to have something that we could be working on. Honestly, in my mind, I'm thinking over the course of the whole year, so that then at the end, we'll have a nice nativity set that the kids can be proud of and that little ones can play with. There's embroidery involved in the project. Let me see if I can find one of these to show you, because once they cut everything out, then they need to embroider. You can see there's this beautiful detail work that actually comes with the pattern. So we cut them out, And then there's the embroidery that happens. This kind of shows you another. I had them printed in black and white just because it was cheaper. But then after they embroider it, then they start building it and putting it together. So that is just all going to take, it's just going to take time. And that's kind of why I went this direction, because I've done kind of one-offs where they're learning to sew, or they're learning to, they have like a little star or a circle and they sew that with felt, and then you have like this kind of little thing that I don't really know what to do with. So I felt like even my youngest students, even my preschooler, could do this with me. But the older kids, obviously, the older they are, the more independent they need to be. So I will be working with my first grader, my third grader, and my 4-year-old on kind of the collaboration component. We'll see how that goes. I might say, okay, you get this week to work with me on this, and then the next child will get the next week to work with me, since I can't be in 2 places at once. But that's it. So we've got Composer, the picture study, and then our handcraft for the year. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.